Hey guys, so before we get started, and so I don't forget, let me go ahead and tell you guys, you need to make sure you click that button and subscribe to the channel so you can be a part of the family and a part of the conversations. We don't always have to agree. I welcome it, whatever your opinion is. But make sure you are subscribed because it's all in love, guys. So before we even get into today's topic, first of all, there are three things in no particular order. Well, the first is the top always, but in no particular order for the rest. First of all, we are going to celebrate ourselves because we made it, okay? So we are alive and well. None of us are 100% well, but we're well enough that we are here. So that means we're well enough to start and shine for a brand new, better day, okay? Number two, the beautiful Robin Rihanna Fenty blessed us with her presence and a single for the Wakanda Forever soundtrack. And number three, we got new Zimmy content. We got new Zimmy content. So yesterday they dropped an interview that they did over in the UK. And it is by far my favorite interview, guys. And I always love just to see the couples months later because you get to see a little bit more truth. You get to see a little bit more depth. And we get to really see the couple for what they will be. Post-villa interviews are really very, very superficial, very, because they know each other, but they know each other not in the context of the real world. So it's really exciting when we get to see that. So we have now walked from Love Island USA winners Zeta and Timmy to now having Zeta and Timmy, the couple who just so happened to win Love Island USA. Now, in this interview, there were several highlights for me. Now, obviously, the interview is going to talk about the major things that one would talk about from the season that, that we want to know or that one would, just ask because it happened. But the highlights for me, first and foremost, I love the love. I love their chemistry. I loved everything about this for them. But one of the things that was talked about that I really loved and kind of just it put to rest, that we're not crazy, y'all. When we saw the situation with Jeff and Timmy and that confrontation, we all were looking like we knew it couldn't have been that pressed about Phoebe and Chad. Like, Jeff was not that pressed, okay? Naja had alluded that there was some tension and some kind of friction, and Zeta and Timmy and some other people had kind of alluded, but nobody ever really said, like, look, there were several confrontations or, between Timmy and Jeff. And so I, first of all, just to make sure that my intelligence wasn't being thrown. So Timmy did confirm that there was some words and there was tension, but obviously in the show, that is what they create. They create this tension, somebody coming to step up in my ego, my pride, trying to take my girl or my girls, whatever, so that was created. But what's the bigger celebration coming out of that is that these two men were able to come together, and while they don't have to be best friends, is that they were able to put aside the differences, to be cordial, and to celebrate the experience that they shared, the unique experience they shared in itself. So I love, love, love that. We've talked about it on this channel because Zeta has discussed it in a live, and if you're not already a part of Zeta Confidential, she has kind of discussed it. But in an actual interview, this is the first professional interview where I've seen her discuss it that I can think of right off the top of my head, where she has discussed where she went on Love Island USA because she felt like she could win as a dark-skinned girl. She didn't feel like, and I really think that speaks volumes to feel like in your own country, you don't feel like you can win. It's disappointing, but it's a very real conversation, and it's one that needs to be had, and I'm glad that she was open and willing to discuss it. It just goes to show representation matters. Now, I've seen some people say, well, why would she say that? Or was she only going on there to win? Well, first of all, any game you play, challenge, you want to win. That's why you do it. But also, like, I equate it, let me just say, I equate it to, like, if you're doing a weight loss challenge. Okay. So if I'm doing a weight loss challenge, me and my friends say we're going to do a weight loss challenge, then I want to win because that's why I'm doing the challenge. However, if I don't win, there's still a win for me if I lose the weight. So same thing, Love Island. Like, you go on and it's great to win the money. It's great to win the exposure. You meet new friends, but I'm winning. It's just an added bonus if I win in love. It's great. I love it. And but I also love is for as much as the conversation needs to be had in the UK, I love that Zeta and Timmy didn't let the USA off the hook because they spoke on and they didn't go in depth, but I mean, that's another different conversation for another day. I got some videos from the past where I've gone in depth, but to be Black in America, and especially on these type of shows where you really do have to present a certain way a lot of times, not always, because we have seen people who've been able to navigate their own path and win, and whether they win the show or just win in life, but often you have to speak a certain way. A lot of times you need to not necessarily dress always a certain way, but certainly how you present yourself a certain way where there is little room for error. And I love that they were willing to have that conversation, and at least even if it's just a little seed to plant to start deeper conversation. I really, really I love that. And because I grew up with a mother who did grow up in a time of segregation, she had me later in life, y'all. I'm 20 years old, okay, obviously. But she grew up and she would always tell me stories of whether it be teachers, whether it be grandparents or mother, talking about Black excellence and being a credit to your race. Because when you step out, for so many, some people don't get to see Black people, or we see so many stereotypes. So when you go out, and it's not even catering to or bowing down to, it's having pride in how you present, so you speak well because you want to show, and especially coming from a time where we were talking about, well, not to say that we don't have it now, but, caricatures, little Black Sambo, all these things where the idea of Black people was babbling idiots, monkeys, all kind of ignorant things being thrown out there. So you take pride in how you speak. You take pride in how you dress. You take pride when you show up to spaces to show people what you are like. So that's why again, when we talk about representation, it is so, so important for everybody. It's important for the people who have been marginalized or who get overlooked and don't get to be seen, so you don't get to see a picture of yourself. But it's also equally as important for those who might not get to see these groups, because that was one of the things that they talked about, was that in the UK, we're not saying it because we're not much of the population in the US, but we do have a bigger Black population in the US than they even have in the UK. So a lot of people might not get to see Black people. So all you see is what you see on TV, what you see on social media. So you don't get a full depiction or representation of who we are. So it's all, I love it. I love that they spoke on it. And even speaking of representation in that, I want to say something because I saw something so often I've seen it in the comments on the interview, and I saw it come up so often. Like, I just see it all the time as it pertains to Timmy, and I find it interesting, and y'all let me know what y'all think. I always see people say that Timmy talks hood. Now, granted, I think that the hood has its own culture, and which is totally fine. But I also think that New York has its own culture separate from race. And to me, Timmy represents New York culture and the different boroughs. Just like with anything, like we've heard Timmy talk about, he moved around. So when he speaks, I think he's speaking from all the places he's lived and what he has absorbed. Like the same way being with Zeta from the UK, I'm sure like when they get interviewed later down the line, he's probably going to have picked up some words just from being around that person. That's what we do wherever we live, wherever we go. Typically, we pour in and we take a bit of culture and a bit of that, and it becomes like ingrained in the cloth of who we are. And I guess I take a somewhat offense because first of all, it goes back to just kind of dissecting how we think people should be, because I do think that if you look at Timmy and listen to him, he can be a goofball, but I also think he has been articulate when he wants to be, just like anybody else. But also, if he has said in the past that he has ADD, now I don't know if he's just joking, but speaking from one person to another, as I'm not speaking as a psychiatrist, I'm speaking because I'm speaking from a speaker inside myself. But he talks fast sometimes, and then sometimes he's a little bit more low. Like when some people say that Zeta's cutting across him, I don't take it as that in certain situations, because like, especially when they're on the lives, if you're let me not speak for everybody, but a lot of those lives can be a lot. It can be overstimulating, like a sensory overload. So you want to have your, like, a partner. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to support you and help you. Like, girl, like, I need help. I can't read all this stuff. And so a lot of times you'll see in those particular situations, Timmy take the back seat, because I think that's overstimulating to him. And he'll be trying to think about what he's saying. And sometimes he rambles. And that's what people with ADD do sometimes. They do ramble because you have so many thoughts racing in your brain and you're trying to get them all out. And it's like your brain is working faster than what your words can get out. And I want to make sure that we're not holding that against people. And I'm not trying to be the mental health police, y'all. I'm just saying, just to be mindful, because it is a hard thing to sit in front of a camera or to sit in front of people and know that you're going to be judged and picked apart. And so just to be gentle with people, okay? Like, just to be gentle, because it's a lot. Because we have seen something like, again, and I use Ben Carson. I know people may have their own political reasons or feelings about Ben Carson, but I'm talking about Ben Carson, the amazing doctor, okay? Well, when we talk about him, the doctor, amazing, great. But when we see him get in front of the camera, he blinks a lot. He comes across quite quirky, a little awkward, but he's still the guy that you would want your life. And if your life had to be in anybody's hands, he's a good person to take over. So you can't always judge those things. So just to make sure you're really listening to people's words and when they speak. So just be gentle, you guys. But before I close out, I want to say the best part of the interview for me of all is their reaction to love, and to see, because again, Zeta has always been open, but to see Timmy be more open and not shy away from those L words, those marriage conversations, and to be honest about it. He was very honest in saying that he doesn't know what the future holds, but to say that it looks good. It looks good. Have I thought about marriage? Yes. Have we thought about babies? Yes. I don't know what the future holds, because I think that's a very honest conversation. I know some people get mad. Well, that's just him leaving the door open or whatever. Look, I don't know. Like, okay, I'd rather that honesty than if you to sell me a boatload of crap, okay? And of course, as a fan, look, y'all, we're already waiting for my invitation to the wedding, okay? I have already told my husband that he can't be my plus one because my mom is a bigger fan. So we're going to the wedding. So we're going to be in the garden, okay? But it's all in due time, okay? It's all in their time and God's time. But I love that he was able to, just be and walk in positivity, and is able to just see his sister over there with them, to see Miss Abby loving on Timmy is good. We continue to always wish them much success. Like I said before, I'm going to leave the interview in the description below, so y'all make sure y'all check it out. Let me know what you guys thought of the interview. What were some of your favorite parts, takeaways? Where do you see them as they continue to go forward? I'm going to try to get, like, we haven't seen some couples. I know some people are losing their minds now about Deb and Jesse, because we haven't seen Jesse in a few days. Look, now, first of all, I wish Deb and Jesse all the success in the world. But chill, guys. Like, Jesse just moved. He's a grown-up. He's not, it's different when you're a teenager and you just drop everything and move. But when you're an adult, sometimes it takes time. Now, I'm not saying, because I don't know, it very well could be done. But giving people the space and time, and again, just be gentle. Let's be gentle with each other and continue to walk in love and peace and foster environments for good, healthy things, okay? So you guys have an amazing weekend. I am going to talk to you guys real soon. So continue to stay up, be blessed, peace.